This video is brought to you by Huawei App Gallery.
App Gallery is running a promotional offer for the release of the new Battle Pass, allowing you to get it 50% cheaper. They also allow you to get 20% off 2 larger packs and 10% cashback on every World of Tanks Blitz purchase.
Download App Gallery using the link in the description or just refer to my previous video. When you're done downloading Huawei App Gallery, make sure to create an account and change your location
To either UK, Ireland, Australia or New Zealand.
It works regardless of the country you're living in, as long as you switch to those.
To access the offer, click the link in the description that will redirect you to the campaign page. From there, all infos you need are listed, and if you scroll down, you will see multiple coupons. Claim them all by accepting the terms and conditions of the campaign, and feel free to use them whenever you feel like it, as they will be automatically applied for your future purchase.
Now, after downloading World of Tanks Blitz from App Gallery and creating your account on App Gallery as well, launch the game, buy the premium Battle Pass.
Use your Battle Pass coupon and boom, you get yourself 50% discount. On top of that, there is a 10% cashback on every World of Tanks Blitz purchase. Buy whatever you need from the shop and get 10% back to use on whatever purchase you need. To do this, when heading to the payment, make sure to select Huawei points by signing up. Now use your totally free currency to buy something else. Many thanks to App Gallery for sponsoring this video. Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new video in which we are once again gonna take a look at the video World of Tanks Blitz uploaded yesterday called What Blitz Enjoyed June's Endless Fun, and specifically to that frame between 0.36 and 0.45 because we are gonna see the appearance of a brand new medium tank, a tier 7 one, the CS-52 LIS, which is located right there, and that is probably going to be a free tank that you're going to be able to get within the 8th year event of the game. To introduce you to the subject, let's take a look at what the CS-52 looks like and what it is truly. First of all, in World of Tanks PC, it's a tier 8 tank, a tier 8 media. But in World of Tanks Blitz, they decided to downgrade it, maybe in order for them to keep its characteristics while maintaining the tank a good one in our game. I mean, we are not gonna complain or anything about this as long as it's a free tank in the end. Basically, the main advantage of the tank, and you're gonna see it through this video, it's his armor profile that is kind of weirdly shaped, because here the armor of the hull is going to be better than the armor on the turret. And of course, you can take that at your advantage if you know how to play. Now, the next thing to analyze is how I'm sure that it will be free. First of all, every time Blitz is doing a Blitz birthday event, you see that they give something for free. I took randomly Blitz turns 5 operation, and you see that first it starts from June 19th to June 27, and maybe that Wargaming will keep those dates for the start of the event. But most importantly, if you take a look at the whole event, you see that you definitely had the possibility of unlocking a premium completely for free. Of course, you had 2 tanks, the Panzer 3A at the beginning, and if you really grinding hard, you had the possibility of getting one of those Y5 tanks. Now, of course, maybe that Wargaming will change the norm this year, but I don't think so. Usually, when they're doing a birthday event, it's kind of a birthday gift for them to us to give us those tanks. And another thing to mention is that it's possible that within this event we have the possibility of unlocking the tank you're seeing on screen right now, because it's a tier 5 and Wargaming is not necessarily the worst and probably a lot more generous than other games when it comes to giving tier 5 rewards. Like every time we have an event, if you have 2 tanks, one that is free and one that you have to pay for, the free one is either tier 4 or tier 5 and the expensive one is tier 7, tier 8, tier 9, tier 10, etc. In order for us to understand well what this tank is about and what it's capable of, I'm gonna propose you to divide this video in 3 parts. The first is taking a look at the overall statistics beside the armor. After, we are gonna take a look at the armor profile to finish off by comparing the CS-52 to what I think and what I believe are the strongest tier 7 in the market right now. Let's start with the hit points. As you can see, it's quite a good one because it's the second out of all the 23 mediums that we find at tier 7. But for the rest, and especially the firepower, things are starting to get a little bit weird, or at least in appearance they're weird, because the DPM is definitely not the best, sitting at only 2000, and the penetration is not good either. Of course, when you switch to Gold Shell, you could expect that the penetration would be better, but honestly, only having 197, it's going to be difficult, especially when you're facing some of the most armored tier 8s. But for the rest, at least, and that's the cool part about the tank, you have a good damage per shot, 290. And this is where that thing is excellent, because at least instead of having those pew-pew guns that are mounted on the Comet, for example, or even the Dracula, here you definitely have a raw power, and it will probably be a frightening factor for your opponents not to straight go on you. And on top of that, as you have a high alpha damage, you also have the highest device per crew damage, shot per damage, or whatever ratio you want to call it. That allows you to have more chances of ammo racking, destroying the engine, the tracks, etc. Of course, one thing important to notice is that beside that the caliber is quite big for a medium, your velocity is definitely at the rendezvous because you have 980 meters per second. It's definitely great because the more increased or the higher the velocity, the smaller the penetration loss over distance. But of course, a big alpha damage comes to a price. That price is the reload. You reload in 8.4 seconds, which means that out of all the mediums, it's probably not going to be the best one when it comes to fight off other mediums or things like that. Maybe that you're gonna have to play second line and try not to be in direct combat with it. For the gun handling, I'm not gonna bother too much. You have a crazy aim time sitting at 1.3 seconds, which will remind you, for those of you that already acquired it, the T-34-3 or even the T-34/2 that you find in the Chinese section of the game. But the cool thing or bad thing, depends on how you see it, is the gun depression. You have 6.2 degrees of gun depression, which makes you believe that the tank is obviously first created by the Russians, because this is, I think that there are a lot of similarities between the gun depression on that tank and the gun depression that you find on any Russian tanks. But yeah, 6 degrees is not necessarily 5. It's not the best, but it's still doing the job as long as you know where to place your tank. So if you're experienced, you shouldn't be too much bothered by this factor. For the last part of this statistics review, let's talk about the mobility. And here you're probably going to be disappointed, at least in appearance, because out of the 23 mediums we have available at tier 7, it's going to be the 21. 47 kilometers per hour maximum, and you are truly gonna struggle to get there because the effective power to weight ratio is terrible on this tank. But there is a reason, and this reason is its armor. Because where some tanks are counting on their mobilities, such as the Dracula, this one is definitely counting on its armor. Because if we don't angle anything and just keep it straight like that, you have 202 millimeters of raw armor on your hull. And trust me, without angling it, it's quite a lot, and probably among the best at tier 7. Now for the rest, you see that you also have a really good turret. But at the same time, you need to be extremely careful, because if you're trying to face someone, they can easily penetrate this part or this one. But as long as it's not a tier 8 and you're facing either tier 6 that can't penetrate you or a tier 7 that will penetrate you with gold, you're safe. Now, of course, you have the traditional cupola, but as it's quite small on this tank, you shouldn't be bothered by it. The main weak spot is the lower part of the hull, as you can see, 100 millimeters only, and also the fact that it's quite big. You see it right now on the model, but you're gonna see it as well when the tank is going to be released. This lower plate is kind of huge. But if you are smart enough to use all your 6 degrees of gun depression, which is exactly what you need to do with this tank, and manage to hide this part, well, you get yourself quite a strong tank. Impossible to penetrate the armor, and even if your turret is still able to get penetrated, as long as you just go out of your position, sneak your shot, and pull back, you should be safe. And this is exactly the kind of playstyles that awaits you with this tank. And I'm telling you this because Wargaming is obviously not going to give the possibility to players to get themselves their hands on a Smasher or a second Annihilator, because otherwise it would completely break the tier 7 matchmaking. So by doing that and allowing you to get only a tank that is good if you use it correctly, they are basing the possibility of doing well with the tank with your overall capacities in the game. And I think that it's a good thing, because otherwise, as I told told you it would be terrible for the game. For the rest of the armor, I'm not gonna bother anymore. You see that you're just a big piece of paper, like it's the case on every single medium. For the comparison with the best tier 7 out there, let's say that for the firepower, you have a DPM that is within the norm, the exact same as the one you have on the Dracula. So if you're satisfied with the Dracula DPM, you're gonna be satisfied with the one you have on the CS-52. The only cool thing is that your alpha damage, as mentioned, is the biggest one out of all those mediums, which can be used as a fear factor. For the weapon handling, things are going to be a little bit different. As you can see, even if your aim time is crazy out of all the others, your gun dispersion is going to be terrific, sitting at 0.37. Of course, when you use the right equipment, it's going to lower down. And finally, the gun depression that is only 6 degrees. It's the exact same as the one you have on the M4 FL10. The main difference between both tanks being that the one on the M4 FL10 will feel worse because the tank is higher. Therefore, even if you have 6 degrees of gun depression, it will more likely feel like 4 rather than 6. And on the CS-52, it's not the case. And finally, for the movement mobility, out of all of the others, you have the worst, which is explainable by the fact that you have a crazy armor once used correctly. So in definitive, if I had to summarize that tank, we have a good firepower, average weapon handling, a bad mobility, and a good armor. In definitive, if I wanted to summarize the tank, I will just tell you, take a look at the T54 Mod 1, play a game with it, and just think about it one tier below. And there you have the CS-52 LIS, because it's literally the exact same tank on the shape, but also on the statistics. So if you enjoy your T54 Mod 1 or enjoyed it back in the good old days when it was still a relevant tank, maybe that the CS-52 is going to complete that empty heart you have, knowing that all the premiums that came after the T54 Mod 1 were way more broken than the T54 Mod 1. So that's it, boys. This is it. Nothing else to say. I hope you enjoyed and that you are sharing my analysis. In case it's not the case, just tell me in the comments what you think the CS-52 LIS is going to be about. And personally, I'm gonna see you soon for a new video as soon as I have more information on whatever is coming into the game. See ya.